The doorbell never rang. I stared at the chocolate cupcake on my counter, the single candle burning down like a fuse. It was 12:01 a.m., my 30th birthday, and my fiancé, Patrick, was 2 hours late. My phone buzzed. "Patrick? Sorry, flight delay. Love you." A photo followed. He stood in an airport bar, glass in hand, TV behind him showing sports. I pinched the picture open and froze. Over his shoulder, a wall clock read 10:03 p.m., our time zone. No flight delay. Just another trick. "Happy birthday to me," I whispered. I blew out the candle and let the smoke curl up like a question I was done asking. The phone buzzed again. "Patrick, can't call. Bad signal. Sleep, babe." I typed 3 words, "We are done," but didn't send them. Instead, I opened social media. A friend's story showed Patrick at a lounge party, arm around a woman in a silver dress. Timestamp, 9:45 p.m. I sent the screenshot. Me, "Signal looks fine." No reply. The read receipt glowed. I took a bite of the cupcake. It tasted like regret and cheap sugar. Then I deleted his contact, the wedding folder on my laptop, and every photo where he smiled only with his lips. I sat on the kitchen floor, back to the fridge, and let one loud sob out. After that, silence. The kind that feels like a clean slate and a cold room at once. Morning light slid through the blinds. My eyes felt swollen, but my mind was clear. I made coffee, opened the notes app, and wrote a rule. No dating for 1 year. I spoke it aloud, like a spell. "Grace, love can wait. Your sanity can't." I laced up my running shoes, stepped outside, and jogged along the Lagos waterfront. Sweat mixed with salt air. Each footstep sounded like a door locking behind me. At work, my boss, Daniel, peeked over the cubicle. "Birthday dinner tonight?" "Just sleep," I said with a laugh that wasn't quite a laugh. During lunch, coworkers swapped engagement stories. I scrolled through campaign drafts for an energy drink client, chasing fonts instead of romance. That night, I tossed every dating app into the digital trash. The screen asked, "Are you sure?" "Yes," I said to the empty room. "I'm sure." I ended the day the way I started it, alone, but this time by choice. The city noise outside felt like distant waves, and I fell asleep repeating my new rule: no dates, no lies, no heartbreak, for at least 1 year. The rule held for 6 straight weeks. Then Sunday came. My mother's apartment sits on the 3rd floor of a faded yellow block in Surulere. The stairs always smell of seasoning cubes and boiling rice. Church ran long that morning, so everyone arrived hungry. I carried a tub of ice cream, my safe gift, up the steps. The door opened before I could knock. "Grace!" Mum pulled me in. Her wrapper was bright blue, the color she wears for good news. I prayed she did not expect any. The living room buzzed. Auntie Ruth arranged plates. My older brother, Kelvin, argued football with cousin Tunde. Dad hummed with the TV remote in his hand, flipping channels like shuffling cards. Mum pressed my shoulder. "You look thin. Are you eating?" "Too much," I said. "Office snacks, all day." We moved to the dining table, round, polished, big enough to hold both food and questions. Jollof rice, fried plantain, goat pepper soup. Mum works worries into her cooking. Halfway through my first spoon, Auntie Ruth struck. "So, Grace," she said, voice light, eyes sharp. "Any wedding bells soon?" Kelvin snorted. Plantain almost flew from his fork. I smiled, pushed rice across my plate. "No bells, just emails." "What of that Patrick boy?" She pressed. "Old news," I said. "Recycled paper." Dad cleared his throat. "A good man will come," he said, soft but firm, as if ordering rain. I nodded, thankful, but the words still pricked. Mum leaned in. 30 is nothing, she said. I had Kelvin at 31. Just keep your heart open. I wanted to say my heart was a house with its door kicked in. Instead, I sipped water. Kelvin grinned. Grace is picky. She wants a saint with a salary. The table laughed. I forced a laugh too, thin as plastic. Auntie Ruth was not done. There's a doctor at my office. Nice, single. Let me give him your number. No, thanks. Why? I'm off the market, I said, taking a holiday from men. Silence landed, heavy as a stone. Dad switched the TV to a cooking show, volume low. Plantain cooled on plates. I felt the room tilt, all eyes on the only empty ring finger. Mum reached for my hand. We worry because we love you. I met her gaze. I love me too. Let me breathe. Her lips pressed together. She squeezed once, then let go. Dessert helped. Cold sweetness filled the gaps words had opened. Kelvin shot selfies. Tunde mocked his pose. The tension eased but did not vanish. It settled like dust in sunlight, visible, floating, waiting to land. When dishes were done, I hugged everyone goodbye. Mum walked me to the door. I'm proud of you, she whispered. But be careful with walls. They keep danger out, yes, but they can keep joy out too. Walls again. Always walls. I held her longer than usual. Then I left. Ice cream tub empty, questions still full. Outside, the street baked in afternoon heat. I breathed diesel fumes and frying dough. My phone vibrated. Group chat message. Pictures of another former classmate's baby shower. Pink balloons, fake crowns, captions of blessed. I muted the chat, unlocked my car, and reminded myself of the rule, no dating for 1 year. I forgot to remind myself how long a year can feel when every Sunday serves the same menu of concern. 3 months later, the rule cracked. It started on a Tuesday night, dull and wet. The office AC had leaked all day, dripping onto power strips while we pitched slogans for an energy drink called Zoom. My brain buzzed with empty verbs: blast, charge, ignite. By 8 p.m., I was drained. At home, I microwaved noodles, scraped the bowl, and scrolled social media until the feed blurred. An ad popped up. Find real love. Swipe now. I rolled my eyes, but my thumb hovered. Curiosity slid under the door of resolve. Boredom opened it wider. I downloaded TrueLink with a mutter. Just research. Campaign insight. The setup felt like filling a form at the bank. Name, age, hobbies, photo where I looked awake. I picked a picture from last Christmas. Red dress, warm lights, smile stiff but serviceable. Then the swiping began. Match 1, Victor 32, project manager. His bio. God first, family next, Arsenal forever. Chat started fine. Victor, hey Grace, pretty smile? Me thanks. How's your week? Victor, better now. Flirty emoji. 2 minutes later, he asked for full body pics. Nothing crazy, lol. Unmatch, match 2, Ameka, 35, entrepreneur. Video call invited after 6 messages. I accepted. Research, remember? The screen showed a dim room and a man wearing only boxers, adjusting the camera toward his abs. Wrong call, I said, and hung up. I told myself to stop. I did not. Match 3, Nathan 34, teacher. Profile sweet, kids art on the wall, a dog named Milo. We chatted for days. He used words like please and tell me more. Friday came. He asked to meet at a cafe in Victoria Island. Saturday noon, I arrived early, picked a corner table. 10 minutes passed, then 20. My phone pinged. Nathan, running late, sorry. I ordered iced coffee, waited. 40 minutes later, the door opened. A man waved. He looked older than his pictures. Fine. Pictures can lie. He reached the table and my stomach dropped. Same eyes, but everything else off. Taller, slimmer, different voice. I'm Tony, he said. Where's Nathan? Long story. Can I sit? No. I stood, grabbed my bag, left the coffee untouched. Catfish served cold. The app went silent for a week. My hope dimmed to a pilot light. Then came match 4, Henry, 31, pharmacist. He had clear photos, normal hobbies, and grammar my mother would respect. We chatted, joked about K-dramas, shared hot takes on jollof rice spice levels. He suggested brunch on Saturday at a place near Lucky. I arrived cautious but willing. Henry wore khaki trousers, blue shirt, clean sneakers. We greeted, sat by the window. He asked about my job. I asked about his clinic. Conversation felt easy, safe. I remembered what hope could taste like when unburnt. Food arrived, pancakes, eggs, mixed fruit. Halfway through, his phone rang. He glanced at the screen. Sorry, 1 second, he said, tapping answer. Hi, Mom. Yes, I'm fine. Yes, I'm at brunch with a lady. Her name? Hold on. He covered the mic. She wants your full name. For prayers. I frowned. Tell her Grace? That's enough. He nodded. Grace, Mom? Yes, 29. Oh, she's 30. Yes, she can cook. I don't know about grandkids yet. Heat crept up my neck. The call dragged on. Health questions, church questions, blood type questions. I scraped my fork across my plate, the shriek louder than I meant. Henry mouthed sorry and kept talking. 10 minutes. I stood, dropped cash for my meal, and walked out. The sun stabbed my eyes. Behind me, his voice chased, Grace, wait. I did not wait. That night, phone on silent, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling fan blades turning doubt into wind. My rule, no dating for a year, had become a thin wall with holes. Through each hole, I saw fresh disappointment waving. I deleted TrueLink. Again, the screen asked, Are you sure? This time I pressed yes, like slamming a door. Still, the damage lingered. I scrolled my contacts list, thumb pausing on Patrick's old number. Gone, but the gap between names like a missing tooth. I felt tired, deeper than sleep. I counted the ceiling blades. 1, 2, 3. The next morning, I overslept. At work, Daniel teased, Party late? I forced a grin. Lunch tasted like cardboard. Around 4 p.m., our office generator sputtered. Lights flickered. I stared at my blank monitor and thought, What if love is a trick mirror? Each time I reached, the glass changed. I opened the volunteer email my church had sent weeks back. Prison literacy program. My cursor hovered over sign up. Bars, alarms, locked doors. Strange? Yes. But my life felt like a waiting room. Maybe I needed a door. Any door, even one with locks. I clicked, reply, I'm interested. Grace Adeyemi, sent, heart pounded, something moved inside. Fear, maybe hope in a new coat. The office lights blinked on. My screen filled with drafts of Zoom slogans again, but the word spinning loudest in my head was outside. Outside the apps, the questions, the safe circles. I did not know what waited, only that it would not be another swipe. I packed my bag at 6, rode the elevator down, and stepped into wet evening air that smelled like rain on hot concrete. Thunder rumbled. I walked to the bus stop without an umbrella, letting the first drops hit my face. Water washed the day, maybe the month. At home, I spread dry clothes on the chair, brewed tea, and opened a blank notebook. Page 1. Why teach prisoners? I wrote, because words can open doors even steel can't block. Page 2. What do I fear? Another lie. Page 3 stayed empty, space for answers I didn't have yet. I slept early, dreamless. Blackwater Correctional Facility sits 40 kilometers outside Lagos, past shrimp farms and stalled trucks. The bus ride there on Saturday morning felt longer than the road. I watched the city fade. Billboards, high-rise glass, the lagoon bridge, until all that was left were oil palms and red dust footpaths. A chaplain met us at the outer gate. His badge read Mr. Cole. He counted the 5 volunteers, checked our ID, then pointed to a line of yellow lockers. Phones, wallets, anything metal, he said. The clang of locker doors echoed like warnings. Inside, the air changed, cooler, but thick. Long corridors stretched under bright lights that hummed nonstop. Cameras blinked in cages of wire. A guard named Officer Laird led us through 2 electronic doors that locked behind with a snap I felt in my teeth. He spoke while we walked. Stay in pairs if you leave the room. Keep voices calm, and remember, first names only. Last names stay outside these walls. His tone was flat, not unkind, but final. The classroom was once a storage room. Now it held 10 plastic chairs, 1 shaky table, a whiteboard streaked with ghost words from old markers. A big wall fan rattled in the corner, pushing heat in circles. I wrote writing class on the board, letters tall enough to see from the back. My hand shook a little, but I blamed the marker. The door opened. The inmates came in 2 lines, each man in khaki shirts marked BC F1 and 12 or BCG 204. They moved with a slow caution, like people stepping through fog. Some were young, barely older than my students during youth service. Some had gray at the temples. 2 guards stood by the door, arms folded. I tried to greet each man with a smile that said welcome, and not I'm scared. My voice sounded thin. Good morning, please take a seat. But it held. They sat. 10 men, 10 different postures of doubt. Arms crossed tight, legs bouncing, eyes fixed on spots that were not me. I cleared my throat. My name is Grace. I'm here to talk about writing. Stories, poems, letters, anything made of words. Writing is free. You can carry it anywhere. Silence. Someone coughed. Mr. Cole gave me an encouraging nod. I passed out cheap notebooks and blunt pencils. Today, just write your name on the first page. Under that, write one thing you want from words. Heads bent, pencils scratched. I walked the rows, reading upside down. Samuel, peace. Ibrahim, truth. Chidi, escape. At the back, one entry made me pause. Michael, air that no wall can stop. His letters were neat, press sure strong. Michael sat straight, shoulders back, eyes forward. A thin scar ran from his chin to his left ear, pale against deep brown skin. He met my look without challenge, just steady notice. I moved on. After 20 minutes, I asked, who will read theirs? No one raised a hand. I waited, breathing slowly. Time inched. Then Michael lifted his notebook. I can read, he said. His voice was calm, low, the kind that makes a room lean in. I nodded. Please. He stood, notebook in one hand like a small shield. He did not look at the page once. I know the horizon only by rumor. The sky tells lies in blue, and the ground swears truth in dust. Between them I float, a feather that remembers the bird but not the flight. If I reach morning, let the sun stamp my chest with a visa of light. I will walk out carrying air that no wall can stop. He finished. The fan clicked. No one moved. Even the guards seemed to forget their stance. I swallowed. Thank you, Michael. My words felt small next to his, like paper boats after a tide. I wanted to say more, to ask where the poem came from, but my throat tightened. Mr. Cole clapped twice, gentle but firm, pulling the room back. "Good start, everyone," he said. "Let's give Michael a hand." A few inmates clapped. Others tapped their pencils like shy applause. I asked if anyone else wished to share. 2 more read short pieces, one about Lagos buses, another about a mother's yam pottage, but the poem stayed in the air, bright and heavy. When class ended, the men filed out. Michael was last. He stopped near me, notebook against his side. "Thanks for the space," he said. "It's yours," I replied. "You fill it well." A corner of his mouth lifted, almost a smile, then gone. He walked out. Officer Laird gestured for us to follow. Doors unlocked, relocked. Each metal click sounded louder now, as if the building meant to remind us whose name it carried. Outside, humid sun pressed down. I realized I was sweating even though the corridors had felt cool. The volunteers waited by the lockers for our items. A woman named Linda whispered, "That poem gave me goosebumps." I nodded, still hearing the line "Visa of Light." The bus ride back crawled through traffic. I stared at passing hawkers, heads balanced with trays of plantain chips, and thought about walls. Not the concrete kind, but the ones Auntie Ruth warned me about, the ones I built myself. Michael had written about air no wall could stop. I wondered what air felt like to a man who breathed through bars. At home, I showered, then sat with my old laptop. I opened a new document and typed poem copy. From memory, I wrote Michael's lines, afraid they might fade. I read them twice, 3 times. They felt true in a way Patrick's messages never did. Sleep came late. I dreamt of narrow corridors that widened without warning into bright fields. The next Saturday, I arrived early, heart pacing ahead of me. I carried a stack of photocopied poems, Langston Hughes, Maya Angelou, Ni Osundare. Simple, strong voices. I hoped they would speak across the room's gaps. Inside the classroom, chairs scraped as the men entered. Michael walked in second. He nodded once, a greeting I returned. He took the same seat at the back, but leaned forward this time, arms on knees. His attention felt like a beam of light, steady and warm. I handed out the poems. "Read them," I said. "Mark any line that hits you, good or bad. We'll talk." Silence shifted. Pages turned, pencils underlined. I walked the rows, peeking. Michael's sheet already had 3 lines marked. "Hold fast to dreams. Still I rise. The child can only climb the trees he knows." After 20 minutes, I asked for thoughts. Ibrahim said Hugh's dream line felt like lying to himself because dreams in here were jokes. Chidi countered that a joke could keep a man sane. Voices grew louder, ideas bumping like market traders. Michael raised a hand. Quiet fell. "Dreams are currency," he said. "You save them, spend them, or throw them away. In here, some men buy peace with little dreams, phone calls, TV time. Big dreams cost more patience, but no one is broke if he can still imagine." I felt the words settle on the desks like new notebooks. I wanted to cheer, but kept teacher calm. We wrote free verse about dreams for 10 minutes. Michael filled 2 pages, then flipped the notebook sideways to keep going. When time was up, I asked him to read. He shook his head. "Next week," he said. "A promise." Class ended. As the men queued at the door, Michael stepped closer. "Do you teach anywhere else?" he asked. "Just here," I said. "You should publish." His gaze held mine, earnest. "Your questions make men talk." My cheeks warmed. "Maybe one day. For now, I'm learning from you." He gave that half smile again. "Learning is 2-way traffic," he said, then joined the line. The guards led them out. The room felt bigger and lonelier after they left. I erased the board, packed the leftover poems. A pencil lay on Michael's desk, point worn flat. I pocketed it without thinking, then slipped it back, tiny guilt. I picked it up again, pressed the blunt tip to my palm, wondering how many words it had left. On the bus, Linda asked if I was okay. I said yes, but my thoughts ran circles. Michael's voice, his calm, the way the other men listened when he spoke. I Googled him that night. Nothing came up. Just a LinkedIn page frozen since 2016. Title, Logistics Coordinator. I closed the laptop. Google could not tell me what mattered. If I wanted to know Michael Brooks, I had to keep showing up. Sunday, Mum cooked a goosey. She asked if I had new friends. I said, different kind, which made her arch a brow. I left it there. Monday through Friday blurred. Client calls, budget sheets, traffic jams. But each night I opened my notebook and planned lessons. Sensory detail, dialogue, metaphor. I found myself counting days like a child waiting for holiday. Friday evening, Daniel tossed a file on my desk. presentation moved to next Saturday, he said. Panic flared. Saturday was prison day. I asked if someone else could take it. Your account, your show, he replied. My pulse thumped. I weighed choices all night. Career versus promise. Early parole hearing date printed on Michael's form, July. Only 8 Saturdays left. My job paid rent, but Michael's Saturdays felt heavier. At dawn, I emailed Daniel, I'll prep slides tonight. Can we rehearse Monday instead? No reply yet. I packed lesson notes anyway. The next morning, the bus hummed along the same road, but my heart felt steadier. I clutched a folder of blank paper for the men to write letters to their future selves. In the security line, Officer Laird scanned my badge, then frowned. Class is delayed today. Yard lockdown. A fight in Block D. He pointed to steel benches by the wall. Wait here. I sat, folder on my lap, noise of distant alarms rolling through vents. Volunteers whispered, minutes stretched. I pictured the men confined to cells, pens idle, thoughts coiled tight. After an hour, Laird returned. Lockdown lifted. Small group only, 10 minutes shorter. He led me through a different corridor. Darker, paint peeling. We reached the classroom. Only 5 men waited. Michael wasn't among them. My gut dipped. I began anyway, explaining the letter exercise. The men wrote, slower without his quiet lead. As we finished, the door opened. Michael stepped in, forehead shining with sweat, shirt speckled. His eye caught mine. Relief flickered there, or maybe I imagined it. He took the empty back seat, opened his notebook, and wrote fast, pen-digging grooves. When time was up, I collected the letters in sealed envelopes. Michael handed his last. On the front he had written, to the man who breathes outside. The guards ushered them out. Michael paused at the door, turned halfway as if to speak, but Officer Laird tapped his shoulder. He went. I tucked the envelopes in my bag, heart beating quick. Something inside me shifted, small but clear, like a key turning once in a lock long ignored. Outside, rain started, soft but steady. I stood under the shelter, watching drops streak the yard fence. I thought of the line Michael marked, still I rise. 3 words, simple, stubborn. They moved through my mind like steps on stairs I had just begun to climb. I did not know where those stairs led, only that I wanted to keep climbing. Weeks passed. Each Saturday lesson peeled a thin layer off the walls between us. Me and the men, me and Michael, me and myself. One morning I brought a stack of lined sheets. Today, I told them, write a memory you never talk about. You can keep it private or read it. Your choice. Chairs creaked. Pencils moved. I walked the rows, slow. A bead of sweat rolled down my back. The fan groaned like an old taxi. Michael filled 2 pages fast, then paused, staring at the blank space left. His hand hovered, unsure, then kept going. When I called time, he did not volunteer to read. He folded the paper into a neat square and slipped it behind the sweat-stiff notebook cover. After class, he lingered while the others filed out. Grace, he said, can you keep something? He held out the folded memory. You don't have to, I said. I want to, he replied. His eyes were steady, the gray flecks near the pupils catching light. I took the paper. My palm tingled. I'll read it if you say yes, I said. He swallowed. Read it, then bring it back. That night, home alone, I opened it with slow fingers. The pencil strokes were sharp, like he wanted every word to stick. I was 24. My cousin and I needed money fast to move our sick mother to a private clinic. We planned a quick grab at a betting shop. Masks on, fake gun, get the cash, run. But my cousin panicked. The owner fought back. I shoved him. The fake gun fell and broke. He saw it was plastic. He swung a stool. I swung fist. He hit his head on the doorframe and dropped. Blood came fast. Too fast. We fled, but they caught us the next day. The owner lived, 1 plate in his skull, constant pain, they said. I pled guilty. 8 years. Every night I replay that moment and wish for 10 seconds back. Under the words he had drawn a short line the length of his scar. Below it he wrote, "This is my reminder. I carry it outside. The guilt lives inside. I read it twice, tears blurring the text, not because it excused him, nothing could, but because it was raw and simple and true. I touched the scar on the paper, then the folded edge where his thumb must have pressed. On Tuesday, I put the letter in my bag, planning to return it next class. All week, my mind kept darting to that line on the page, to the line on his skin. Friday night, I dreamed of walls falling like cards, leaving wide roads lit by dawn. Saturday came. After the lesson, I asked Michael to stay a minute. I handed back the folded sheet. "Thank you," he said. slipping it inside his shirt pocket. "I'm sorry for your mother," I said. "How is she?" He looked at the floor. "She passed the first year I was in here." His voice cracked on past. "I'm sorry." I wanted to reach out, touch his arm, but rules and guards loomed. "My fault, she never saw that clinic," he said. "You can't change what happened," I told him, words slow, careful. "But you can change what happens next." He lifted his eyes. "Trying," he said, breath tight. "Your class helps." My chest warmed. "You help the class. They listen to you." A guard cleared his throat. "Time up." Michael moved to the door. Before he stepped out, he murmured, "Thank you for seeing more than the khaki." The words stayed with me all week. Seeing more. Seeing past. I wondered what he saw when he looked at me. Teacher, stranger, maybe friend. Walls shifted again, almost without sound. 2 Saturdays later, rain pounded Lagos like drumming fists. Roads flooded, but the volunteer bus crawled through, tires hissing brown water. Lightning forked behind the prison wall as we reached the gate. Inside, the power flickered. Officer Laird frowned at the ceiling lights. "Storm's messing with the grid," he said. The class started late. Only 8 men were allowed out. They shuffled in damp from leaking gutters. Michael sat by the door this time, eyes on the hall. The storm boomed overhead, the fan stopped, air thick as stew. Halfway through a dialogue exercise, alarms blared. 2 sharp bursts, then a rising siren. The room jerked to attention. Laird rushed in. "Lockdown! Stay here. No one moves till I get word." He slammed the door and keyed the bolt from outside. Silence crashed in. Then distant shouts, metal bangs, the scrape of boots. Samuel's knee jiggled hard. "Sounds close." Chidi cursed under breath. "Riot again, bet." Rain hammered the roof in angry sheets. The siren kept howling, then cut. Shouts grew louder. Heavy footsteps thudded past our door. Linda, the volunteer sitting beside me, whispered, "What do we do?" I forced calm into my voice. "We wait. The officers know we're here." But my heartbeat drummed in my ears. Another loud bang. The lights died. Total dark for one shocking second, then red emergency bulbs flicked on, painting the room in bloody glow. Samuel stood. "I can't stay locked like this." "Sit," Michael said, tone even but firm. "Doors metal," Ibrahim muttered. "If fire starts." He didn't finish. Rain, shouts, far-off clatter of something heavy tipping. I stepped toward Michael's desk, careful. "Ideas?" I whispered. "Keep heads low, voices low," he said. He turned to the men. "Everyone breathe. Fear makes noise. Noise brings trouble." They listened. He had that calm gravity again, anchor in rough sea. Another boom rattled the walls. The men flinched. One red bulb flickered overhead. Michael faced me. "Front corridor has steel shutters. If they drop, we're boxed. We need info." "How?" He pointed at the narrow window set high in the door. "I'll look." I hesitated. Rule said inmates stay back. But rule books were useless now. I nodded. He stepped up on a chair, peered out the wired glass. "Hall's clear," he whispered, "but smoke near Block D." From the corner, Samuel asked, "What about us?" His voice trembled. "No fire here," Michael replied, climbing down. "Worst thing is panic. Sit on the floor, backs to the wall. Less target if doors open." They obeyed. I sat too, heart slowing at the order in his voice. Minutes crawled. Shouts faded, then rose again. A clatter like pipes dropped on tile echoed, then quiet. Rain kept hammering. Linda leaned close. "He should be running class," she said, nodding toward Michael. "He is," I answered. Footsteps stopped outside. Keys rattled. The door swung open. 2 officers, batons raised, scanned the room. "Everyone okay?" "Yes," Michael answered for all of us. "Riots contained," one officer barked. His eyes flicked over the men. "Back to cells." Samuel opened his mouth. Michael touched his shoulder, small shake of the head. Samuel closed it. The inmates stood, hands behind backs. They filed out between guards. Michael was last. At the doorway, he turned to me. The red light caught the scar on his face like a slash of paint. "You good?" he asked. "Yes." My voice shook once. "Thank you." He nodded, then faced the hall. A guard nudged him forward. When the door shut, air rushed from my lungs. My shirt clung with sweat. Linda gripped my hand. "That man kept us steady," she said. I nodded, thinking of the line he wrote, "Air that no wall can stop." He had shared that air with us when we needed it most. We waited another hour before guards escorted us out. The yard was littered with broken trays and one overturned bench. Rain had slowed to a fine mist. On the bus ride home, I stared at my reflection in the wet window. My eyes looked different, wider, maybe braver. I thought of Michael back in his cell, listening to rain on metal, and wondered if he was also replaying the day, matching lines on paper to lines on skin, adding new ones we had all just earned. Night fell. I sat at my desk, opened my notebook, and wrote, "He stood in a red light, calm as a stopped clock, while fear ran circles. The room listened because his voice did not shake, walls held but did not win. Maybe trust begins like this, a small beat in chaos." I closed the book, heart still thudding but steady. Outside, thunder rolled one last time, then drifted away. The story was not done. I could feel it, like a door about to open. The riot changed more than a Saturday. It changed the air between Michael and me. After that day, the other men began calling him teacher, even when I was the one holding the marker. He kept the title, but he pointed every question back to me, gentle, firm. "Ask Miss Grace. She knows." 2 weeks later, he asked for extra paper. "I want to draft my parole speech," he said. "I can help," I answered. My voice shook a little. Helping meant stepping closer to the line I still pretended was there. We worked during the last 10 minutes of each class. Guards watched but did not stop us. Michael read his sentences out loud, slow, like tasting hot soup. I was wrong. I heard a man. I accept the cost. "Good," I told him. "Now add what you've done since. Written truth, kept peace." "Say it plain," I said. He nodded. I wrote words that keep me awake. The hearing was set for July 5th. I spent nights Googling how to speak at a parole board. Tips flashed. Be brief. Be clear. Show change. Daniel noticed my distracted eyes at work. "You look somewhere else," he said. "I'm helping a friend," I replied. It was the first time I called Michael friend out loud. The word felt right and dangerous in equal parts. Sunday dinner rolled around again. Mum ladled pepper soup while Auntie Ruth rifled through new gossip. "Grace," Auntie Ruth asked, "still on that man holiday?" Kelvin snorted. "Maybe she found Wi-Fi on the island." I forced a smile. "I'm focused on something important." Dad raised a brow. "Important like career, or important like wedding?" "Important like giving someone a second chance," I said. The table went silent. I let it. The day of the hearing came with thick clouds but no rain. Volunteers were allowed as witnesses. I took unpaid leave, dressed in a plain navy dress, nothing that shouted. The hearing room was small. 3 board members sat behind a desk, files stacked like bricks. Michael entered in his khaki uniform, hands clasped behind. His eyes flicked to me, tiny nod. He spoke for 9 minutes. He said the owner of the shop still had headaches because of him, that he could never rewind that night, that he now spent every hour trying to be worth the air he breathed. No big words. Just truth. When they invited outside statements, I rose. My knees trembled, but my voice stayed level. "Michael Brooks has led 30 men to read and write," I said. "He ended a riot by speaking calm. He treats each hour as borrowed pay. If this is not change, I don't know what is." Questions followed about safety, housing, work. Michael answered each one steady. When it was done, they asked us to wait outside. We sat on a wooden bench in the hallway, 2 guards down the corridor, fluorescent light buzzing. He whispered, "Thank you for coming." "I would have come even if they banned me," I said. "But please don't make me break in. I'm not that brave." He smiled, scar pulling at the corner of his mouth. 35 minutes later, the door opened. A clerk called his name. We walked back in. "Parole granted," the chairwoman said. "Release set for July 12th, 1 week away. Good behavior, job plan in place, community mentor lined up." Michael closed his eyes once, opened them. I exhaled a breath I didn't know I'd held. Outside, heat slapped us. He couldn't leave the grounds yet, but they allowed 5 minutes in the visitor yard. We stood by a small mango tree. Wire fences glinted. "I dreamed of this," he said. "And?" "It always felt lighter in dreams. Now it feels heavy." "That's because it's real," I said. He studied my face. "Grace, when that gate opens, the world will label me. Ex-con, robber, danger. You don't owe me more than you gave." My chest tightened. "I owe myself honesty. I care about you. That's my decision." Lightning cracked in the distance, though the sky was blue. We both looked up, then laughed at the reflex. When time was called, he headed back toward the door but turned. "Next Saturday, 6 a.m.? "I'll be there," I said. The week crawled. Every billboard seemed to shout bad statistics about recidivism. Every news alert another warning. At night, I lay awake thinking of my family, my job, neighbors' whispers. Then I remembered his voice in the red emergency light telling men to breathe, and the fear eased. Friday evening, I baked a small sponge cake. I wrote 31 on top with cheap icing, then scraped it off, too childish. Instead, I slipped 2 forks and 1 plastic knife into the cake box and set it on the kitchen counter beside my car keys. July 12th started before the sun. Lagos slept under a soft haze. I showered, pulled on jeans and a white t-shirt, tied my hair into a knot that refused to stay sleek. In the mirror, my eyes looked big, awake. I left at 5 a.m. Streets were empty except for street sweepers in orange vests. Radio played soft high-life music. I kept the volume low. At the last fuel station, I filled the tank and bought 2 bottles of water, mindful that freedom comes with thirst. When black water rose ahead, dawn painted the clouds pink and gray. I parked near the exit gate, the same spot where delivery trucks usually waited. Guards in the booth recognized me now. One gave a short salute. I balanced the cake box on the dashboard and drummed the steering wheel. 5:52. A bird landed on the fence, flew off. My phone showed no new messages, which felt both good and odd. At 6:03, the inner gate rolled aside. 2 men in plain clothes stepped out first, escorted by officers to a waiting bus. Then came Michael. Khaki uniform, swapped for simple black trousers, white shirt, cheap canvas shoes. He carried 1 small plastic bag. When he saw my car, he stopped, shoulders rising once as if taking that first free breath. I opened the door and stepped out. The morning air smelled like wet soil after a mist rain. We faced each other across 5 slow steps. He spoke first. "Happy birthday, Grace." "Welcome to the world, Michael." No handshake felt strong enough. I hugged him. It was brief. Careful, guards were still close, but it was solid, real. I felt the line of the scar against my cheek, felt his chest rise and fall, steady. He pulled back, eyes bright but dry. "They let me keep 1 notebook," he said, lifting the bag. "Good. Pages are lighter than chains." We climbed into the car. He ran fingers over the dashboard like it was made of silk. "Smells new." "It's 8 years old," I laughed. "You're smelling the air freshener." "Pick the music." He pressed the radio knob. Afro soul filled the car, low beat, perfect. I handed him the cake box. "Breakfast birthday tradition," I said. He opened it, stared at the plain sponge. "No candles, too risky inside a car," I joked. He tore a small piece, tasted, closed his eyes. Sweet. "Cheap mix," I warned. Still sweet. He broke another piece and held it to me. I ate it off his fingers, feeling heat bloom across my face. We reached Festac by mid-morning. His uncle's compound had peeling paint but tidy flower pots. Children played football in the sandy street, shouting offsides at each other. We sat in the car one last moment before he went in. "I'll call you after I check in with parole," he said. "I'll pick you up for dinner at 6, I replied. He laughed. "You plan fast." "Life is short," I said. Then softer, "And walls are tall. Let's not waste time." He squeezed my hand, stepped out, and walked toward the gate. He didn't look back until he reached it. When he did, the smile he gave me felt like sunrise. I drove off, windows down, radio louder now. At a red light, I unfolded the note. "Grace, the horizon is no longer rumor. Today I saw it in your eyes on the bridge. Thank you for being the visa of light I asked for in a poem. If tomorrow gets rough, remember this morning. Remember the air. M." The light turned green. I moved forward. I was 31, and the road ahead was long and uncertain. But my heart felt honest, awake, unafraid. The walls were behind us. The story, ours to write next.